Tell you this, I've been saying this from day one. Sam Howell was a fifth-round pick. Sam Howell is young. Sam Howell has showed promise. I'm telling you right now, we haven't done our mock drafts yet or anything else. Look out for Washington. If they're hovering in a decent spot, look out for Washington to be one of those teams to jump up and get either Caleb Williams or Drake May. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is another great day to discuss other people's excellence. I'm the unforgettable one himself, Mr. Brett Carroll. I'm a guy that just likes BS Network. Okay, we got to do another solo round this week. Scheduling conflicts, but it's all good. We here. We here just like Jordan Addison was here. If you don't know, now you know. Shout out to little Mikey and the rest of the fantasy gang. Jordan Addison, I see you, baby. All right. I told you week 7 was going to be a great week, and it did not disappoint. There was a lot of great games, and we're going to jump into all of them. All right, the 49ers have now lost 2 in a row, both games on the road, and Brock Purdy has not looked good in those 2 games without Deebo Samuel. What's happening? Is he hitting a wall? Is the Shanahan offense, are people finally catching up to it? Or is he being exposed? I think, and I hate to say this because I'm not a Brock Purdy hater or anything, I think he's being exposed a little bit. I mean, when you're Mr. Irrelevant, and I watched Brock Purdy in college, he was good. But he came into the league and he was unstoppable. I mean, he literally, the only game he lost was because he got hurt one of the first plays of the game against the Eagles. And before the last 2 weeks, he's looked unstoppable. And I think that's a product of the Shanahan offense, him being a perfect fit for that Shanahan offense and the weapons that they have. And I think what's happening is that is a perfectly functioning machine, but it's fragile because if you start taking the little parts of that machine out, even if it's just one part or 2 parts, it's not as efficient. And then you're asking him to do more. And let's remember, he's still a young quarterback, right? He still only played, a couple games last year. I don't even think, has he played 16 games yet as a starter? Like, you know what I mean? So I don't even think he's played a full year as an NFL quarterback yet. And so, yeah, when the system's not working as fluidly or and functioning as efficiently as it's supposed to, he's going to get exposed. Now, again, I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. I'm not saying he's, throwing me away. He's no good anymore. I'm just saying, the shine has come off. And I think if you're the Niners, you're going to have to realize, okay, we're going to have to really make sure we're putting him in the best position to be successful, because it's obvious he's still very young and he's still a product of the system, if you will. Again, I'm not saying he can't be any good. Tom Brady was a 6th-round quarterback, and he was a better college quarterback than Tom Brady was, if we're being honest. So the point of the matter is, he's young. Yes, as of right now, it's the system, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's no shade to Brock Purdy. But what's going to have to happen is, if they're going to be successful and get to where they need to go to, while they wait for Deebo, while they wait to kind of get healthy, they're going to have to switch some things up and make sure that they're putting him in the best possible position to be successful, because otherwise, they can't just rely on him to go off script, because that's just not where he's at right now. The script has to be good. The script has to be neat. All the I's need to be dotted. All the T's need to be crossed. People need to be where they're supposed to be. And that's when he can, function the way he needs to function. And that's okay. Again, he's young. A lot of people say you put anybody in that Shanahan offense, they'll be okay. Yes and no. We've seen quarterbacks not function in that Shanahan offense, but we've seen other quarterbacks thrive. So, I think the jury's still out on whether he's good or not, but I do think at this stage of his career, it is the system, and they're going to have to lean onto that system a lot more if they want to be successful. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. It is what it is. All right. Change of commando after another disappointing loss. Magic Johnson keeps tweeting, and changes are a coming in Washington. shout out to Riverboat Ron. You know, as a Panthers fan, I always have a soft spot for Ron Rivera. Won Coach of the Year not once but twice while he was in Carolina. Took them to the Super Bowl. I think he's a good coach. Is he great? Eh, debatable. Probably not. I think he's a really good coach. I think if you put him in the right position, he can do well. Um, but it's obvious that his time in Washington's running out. You have new ownership. They're going to want their own guys. And it's not like the Washington Commanders are doing anything to vouch for themselves to, you know, keep their guys. Eric Bieniemy, and I'm gonna tell you this. I've been saying this from day one. Sam Howell was a fifth round pick. Sam Howell is young. Sam Howell has showed promise. I'm telling you right now, we haven't done our mock drafts yet or anything else. Look out for Washington. If they're hovering in a decent spot, look out for Washington to be one of those teams to jump up and get either Caleb Williams or Drake May. When you have a new owner, a lot of times new owners want to make a splash, especially for an organization like Washington that is desperate for some new blood, is desperate for some hope. I think they're going to try to do everything this offseason, change the name, change whatever, and then try to get a franchise quarterback that fans can be excited about. Sam Howell is good. But I don't know if the fan base is excited about Sam Howell. Again, he's been sacked like a ridiculous amount of times, so it's not his fault. They need to fix that offensive line. But again, I'm just going off of history here in terms of when you get a new owner, especially a new owner with money, right? He bought the Washington franchise. He didn't buy, some team out in Timbuktu. He owns the Philadelphia 76ers. He owns the New Jersey Devils, which is still the New York market. And he now owns the Washington Commanders alongside Mac Johnson. Dude's got money. This isn't some mom and pop dude that just happens to own a team and he's family legacy. No, this is a guy with some money. And so guys like that usually want to flex their muscles early and put their stamp on their new organization and then their new league. I'm telling you, look out for Washington as the trade partner to do whatever it takes to go up. And that's another thing. They got a pretty good team. It's not like them trading up is going to be that big of an issue in terms of getting a quarterback. Yeah, so changes are definitely going to be coming, and don't be surprised if the quarterback is one of them. In terms of coaching, again, it's weird. If it's the Caleb Williams thing, does that mean Lincoln Riley? Does that mean I would hate to think Cliff Kingsbury? Is that another person off the McVay or Shanahan tree? Um, I guess it would depend on who the quarterback is. If it's Caleb Williams, it sounds like if you draft Caleb Williams, he's going to want at least a say or at least a recommendation on who the coaches are. So that's something you got to be mindful of. Um, if it's Drake May, maybe it doesn't matter as much. You can kind of go with who you want to go with. I was really hoping Eric Bieniemy would be able to shine. He was the offense looked really good the first couple of weeks of the season, and maybe he would get an opportunity, whether in Washington or somewhere else. Their offense is kind of sputtered again. Sam Howell has been sacked a lot, so uh, I don't know if that. I'm pretty sure that hurts his chances of getting the job. Um, Again, I think you look at the Eagles offense again. Maybe you take their OC, uh, although he might not want to be in division. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be one of those. Washington's in a weird spot in particular because again, I really do think they're going to be very aggressive on getting a quarterback, and depending on what quarterback you bring in, that's who you're going to want to focus on in terms of your coaching staff. So. All right, Kenny Klutch. Pittsburgh Steelers pulled another rabbit out of their hat or somewhere else in a much needed victory over the Rams in LA. Even though the offense was sputtering again, it was better. It was better. I'm gonna give credit when credit was due. We did score 3 touchdowns, albeit one of them was off an interception, and we were at the 7-yard line. But in the past we might not have scored there anyway, so that's still a good thing. Um, the offense looked better. We were able to move the ball in spurts, especially in that second half. Um, but yeah, the point is, the offense hasn't looked great. But Kenny has been proven clutch. And I was telling Charles this the other day. I saw a tweet that said Kenny Pickett is this generation's Eli Manning, and he was like, "What does that mean?" And I gotta be honest with you, I know exactly what that means. And Charles hates when I say this, and most Giants fans hate when I say this, but outside of Giants fans, a lot of people looked at Eli Manning as a mediocre quarterback at best. The numbers back it up, but we've all acknowledged he was clutch. If you give him the ball and say, "Yo, bro, we need you to get this drive," he always delivered. Give him that credit, right? Kenny Pickett has done that in his early in his career. Besides the first ever time he had to do it, and even then he drove down the field. He threw an interception late against the Dolphins, but even that, if I remember correctly, they were saying that was more of a Deontay Johnson miscommunication than a Kenny Pickett decision. He thought Deontay was going towards the end zone. Deontay cut the route off short, and that's when the pick happened. But that was the first time he had to have a game-winning drive, and he drove us all the way down the field. And ever since then, anytime that we've had the ball, no matter how bad the offense has been, if it's like, "Yo, bro, if you have a drive in you, here it is," he's been able to deliver. He's been clutch. And so that's why he's been so controversial in Pittsburgh, because even though he has not shown some of the high upside in terms of big playability and stuff like that, he has been clutch. And you can't teach that. Again, sort of like an Eli Manning. Now, I will say this. Let me give Eli Manning some credit too. Eli Manning at least showed high-end production. Kenny has not shown that yet. I believe Kenny has only thrown for 300 yards once in his career so far, and that was his first ever start against Buffalo. And that game was over in the first quarter. So we threw it every single time that game. So yeah, he had over 300 yards in a blowout loss in Buffalo. Other than that, I don't think he's even really been close to a 300-yard game. Eli Manning at least showed the ability to put up high production numbers at times. So with Eli, it was whether it's a shootout or if the game was low scoring because of the defense. The point of the matter is, if you needed a play and he had the ball last, you thought to yourself, "Okay, we have a good chance to win this game." With Kenny, it's simply been if the defense can keep it a low enough scoring game. If you give him the ball, you have with a chance to win it. We have a very good chance that we're going to win the game. So, you know, that's why, again, shout out to little Mikey again. We're saying we want to get rid of Matt Canada because we got to see what this offense can look like, or if the offense could be more productive, because we got to be able to see what he can do in a quote unquote shootout, right? Can he go out there when the defense isn't getting 3 to 5 sacks a game, when they're not getting 2 or 3 turnovers a game? Can he go out there and match production, go tit for tat, touchdown for touchdown, drive for drive with some of these elite quarterbacks, put up those high numbers, and still, if one of those things where, "All right, Kenny, you've been doing it all game. Here's the ball. We need it one more time." We know we know he can do, "Hey, bro, you ain't do it all day. But if you have one in you, now's the time." We need to see the games where it's, "Hey, bro, you've been doing it all game. We need you to do it one more time, brother." And so that's the issue. Can they take him to the next level? Is there a next level? Again, the offense shows that they can be productive. They got playmakers, especially with Deontay Johnson back. Hopefully, the offense looks better going forward with Deontay now that they have had a bye and they've been able to make some minor changes to the offense. We'll see. Again, I'm not holding my breath. A part of me hopes not, because I really do not want them to give Matt Canada a contract extension. Um, Obviously, I want them to win games, but he's got to go at the end of the season, so whatever. All right, some other games of note in this crazy week 7. The Giants defeated Washington. Tyrod Taylor in 2 games has just as many touchdowns as Daniel Jones has for the rest of the game. Uh, do they give Daniel Jones this is where, I would leave it to Charles to just go off. Um, but I gotta be honest with you, unfortunately, they can't do that. They're paying him way too much money. They have to see if they can win with him. They have to see if they can generate some. And by the way, I get it. Tyrod Taylor has just as many touchdowns as Daniel Jones has had. But let's be real. It's not like the Giants offense all of a sudden is a juggernaut. They won 14-7. Like against a bad Washington secondary. So again, let's not sit here and act like they, tore the roof off of the game on Sunday. They were all right. They almost beat Buffalo. They didn't. They beat Washington in a typical slugfest between the Commanders and the Giants. So let's pump the brakes on. Oh my God, how could they ever put Daniel Jones back in the lineup? They can. They can. Tyrod Taylor has been good. He's been slightly better. But again, it's not like this offense is now an offense that scares you. Like, I mean, if you put Daniel Jones back in, if he has a good game, y'all could do the same thing. So that's just me. That's just me. The Patriots upset the Bills. The Bills have 2 really bad losses in the division to the Jets opening night without Aaron Rodgers, and to the Patriots who were 1-5 going into that game. Yeah, the Bills are a weird team. But Bill gets his 300th win, and we found out he has an extension. He got an extension in the offseason. I mean, I've been saying this, there have been rumors that, oh, will he be fired at the end of the year? I've always said no. He's so close to the all-time wins record. I think they owe it to him to have him get that record. Even as bad as the team is, he should get it by like the end of next year, I think. Um, assuming they still win a couple games this year and win a handful of games next year, he'll get it by the end of the year next year. I do think they owe him that, which is ironic because if the roles were reversed, we know Bill Belichick wouldn't do that, you know, for whoever the coach was, right? We know that Bill Belichick, one of those, I'd rather get rid of you a year too early than a year too late. So I get that Robert Kraft would have every right to say, hey, Bill, this is what you wanted to do, right? You wanted to get rid of Tom Brady earlier than we ended up actually getting rid of him. And even then, we got rid of him a year early because he won a Super Bowl, another Super Bowl without us, right? So the Patriots would have every right to say, yo, bro, what have you done for me lately? And lately, you've been terrible. But I do think that's something that fans could get behind, watching Bill get the all-time wins record. That's something that will get fans in the seats. They're probably going to get a new quarterback this year anyway. So, I think they will and should allow him to continue to coach until he gets that record. And I think from what I heard, I don't remember where I heard this. I think it's basically a year by year basis. Like whenever they'll reevaluate every year in the offseason. So to me, that tells me, all right, you're our coach until you get the record. Then we'll ask you to retire, right? We won't fire you, but we'll ask you to step away and retire. So, and then he'll probably take a year off. And then if he wants to coach again, he'll go coach somewhere else, which I think is fair. I really do think it's fair. Eagles and Dolphins, I was excited about that game until Sunday happened and I got really sleepy and I went to sleep and I missed the game. But it was a good game nonetheless. I did see the highlights. I did watch some of like the replays. Yeah, I think this Eagles team is pretty good. AJ Brown has submitted himself as a top 5 receiver. To me, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, I'll give Tyreek Hill his credit. Maybe Tyreek are the only ones that I would definitely say I would put over AJ. I still like Devontae Adams if he was on a better team. Sports is weird, man. You go to one team, you could get forgotten about, man. You really can. I want to put some respect in Devontae Adams' name too. I don't want to just cast him aside. I still think he's up there. But AJ Brown's dogging. The Eagles look good, man. They look good. And again, for the Dolphins, I gotta say it. You know, for the Dolphins fans that's been watching, I told y'all I was going to be paying closer attention this year, and I'm kind of don't like what I'm seeing. This was like the second, you know, statement game that they lost. This was the second prove it game that they've been beating up on bad teams, but two of their losses are two of the better teams that they played, the Bills and the Eagles. So if we're gonna take them seriously as a Super Bowl contender, they gotta beat those teams. They can't just blow out some of the bad teams that's been on their schedule. I'm just calling it how I see it. Just calling it how I see it. All right. And then week 8, we got Giants versus Jets. The Snoopy Bowl is always fun. The Jets were on a bye, but last time we saw them, they had an upset win over the Eagles, right? So can both teams build off of those momentums? Giants won against Washington. Jets beat the Eagles. And they're coming off a bye, so that should be a good game. Jags and Steelers, this is the one game I was looking forward to all year. Like I said, this was that measuring stick for me. I've said it a couple times on the pod. That's the game I want to see. Can he go up against an elite quarterback or semi-elite? I don't think Trevor Lawrence is in that conversation yet, but he's getting there. And that's what I'm saying. Can you at least outduel Trevor Lawrence? If you can't do that, we got a problem. Now, ironically, I will be traveling this weekend. I don't know yet if I'm going to be home to watch this game. I hope so. Because like I said, this is the one game all year I've been paying that I was looking forward to, but I'll figure out a way to watch it. Bengals of 49ers. Again, these are two juggernauts. And with Purdy's recent struggles, it makes it more interesting. Can 49ers bounce back? As a Steelers fan, I hope they can. Although the Bengals are coming off a bye, so they've had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. And then Texans and Panthers, always fun to see the two rookies, the number 1 and number 2 pick in the draft, go up against each other for the first time. That should be fun. I'm hoping as a Panthers fan, the Texans don't just completely destroy them and rub it in their face that they got C.J. Stroud and we don't. So there you go. So that's the video. You can find me at Never For Brett Me. That's NEVA_4BRETT_ME on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads. Charles is not the Chuck D on all the socials. We are the_dope blog on Instagram and Threads. We are the dope blog, all one word, on Twitter. Our website is www.thedope.blog. And because you're watching this on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe. And join us next time as we continue to discuss other people's excellence. Deuces.